Good morning, students. I am back again with the second video of the poem The Patriot. We did with the explanation part of the first stanza where we were introduced to the poem and we saw how the speaker, that is the patriot, was welcomed because of his achievements. Now today we begin with the explanation of the second stanza. The second stanza: the air broke into a mist with bells, the old walls rocked with the crowd and cries. Had I said, good folk, mere noise repels, but give me your sun from yonder skies, they had answered. And afterward, what else? Now we come to the understanding part of the second stanza. Here, in the second stanza of the poem, the speaker continues narrating the old story from the same day a year ago. He describes the event to the readers. People were rejoicing by ringing bells. They were rejoicing the victory of the patriot. And the entire atmosphere was reverberating with the ringing bells. They were standing on the rooftops of old buildings and were cheering for the patriot. The walls of the old buildings were vibrating with the cries of the people. Moving on. Now, the patriot, he says that had he asked the public for anything, even the dearest things on which their sustenance depends, they would have readily given it to him. Such great was his image. And then they would ask him what else he wanted. What else he wanted means what else the patriot wanted. Now here we can see the exuberance of the people at the sight of the patriot. The poet is trying to establish the kind of popularity the speaker, that is the patriot, had through this stanza. Moving on to stanza 3. Alack, it was I who leaped at the sun, to give it, my loving friends, to keep. Naught man could do, have I left undone. And you see my harvest, what I reap, this very day, now a year is run. Moving on to the understanding part of this stanza. Here in the third stanza of the poem, the speaker's discourse on what he did for his country. It begins with the poet giving a subtle reference to the old Greek mythological tale of Icarus and Daedalus. Icarus was the son of the great inventor Daedalus, and the story revolves around the escape of these two men from a high tower where they were held prisoners. They escaped by making wings out of birds' feathers and wax. Icarus, he was taken aback with the ability of flight. So he was surprised that he was also able to fly. And therefore he flies too close to the sun. And this eventually causes the wax in his wings to melt and he falls down, which results in his death. Now, just like Icarus, the speaker admits that he too was overly ambitious and leaped at the sun. That is, he achieved the most difficult tasks just for the sake of people. Giving the sun his loving friends to keep suggests that his actions somehow caused the death of his close friends. Here again we can hypothesize that the patriot is talking about some battle that claimed the lives of his dear ones. Now the patriot, he did everything a leader could have done to make things right. Despite this, he is facing his undeserved end. He calls to attention the miserable state he is in. The terms harvest and reap are closely seen as common metaphors for karma. And the poet, he uses this to convey that whatever he is facing is not what he deserves. He says that it has been a year since the day when he was appreciated or was given a grand welcome. So here the poet ends with the flashback of the speaker. Moving on to the next stanza. There is nobody on the housetops now, just a palsied few at the window set. For the best of the sight is all allow at the shambles gate, or better yet, by the scaffold's very foot I trow. Now, the speaker, he again returns back to the present state and he talks about what he sees. He describes the present setting and contrasts it with the one on the same day a year ago. Now he has been convicted and he is being led to the gallows where he will be hanged to death. As opposed to the setting in the first stanza, now the place is all empty. No people is seen, nobody on the rooftops cheering for him. Only few old men who are taken down by palsy, a disease which makes people unable of movement. So since those old men are unable to cross the threshold of their houses, they are watching the patriot from their window as he marches towards his death. The reason why no one is there is they have all assembled at the shambles gate, the gate of the gallows where the patriot will be hanged. Now the people, they want to be present there to witness the action of being hanged. The speaker further makes the heart-touching comment that for the people, the best sight at present is the gate of the scaffold's foot where the patriot will be hanged. Moving on to stanza 5. I go in the rain and more than needs. A rope cuts my wrists behind. And I think by the feel of my forehead bleeds, for they fling, whoever has a mind, stones at me for my years' misdeeds. Moving on to the understanding of the stanza. The fifth stanza is a continuation of the previous one where the speaker further describes his humiliation at the hands of the people. The poet starts with filling up the setting even more. It is raining and the speaker is being taken towards the scaffold. His hands are tied behind by a tight and rough rope which is so tight that it makes deep cuts on his wrists and body. So they are all arriving. They are near to the shambles gate where the people have gathered. The patriot is in his own mind and he knows that death is ahead of him. As the patriot is walking, he thinks that his forehead is bleeding. But he couldn't touch, he could only feel the trickling of blood. People throwing stones at him are causing the injuries. So stones have replaced the petals of roses. He says that the people who are throwing stones are the ones who have an active mind and they are aware of his misdeeds. The speaker does not seem to be angry with these people. He does not blame the people for receiving such kind of treatment because he knows that they have misunderstood him. Last stanza. Thus I entered and thus I go. In triumphs people have dropped down dead. Paid by the world, what dost thou owe me? God might question. Now instead, 'tis God shall repay. I am safer so. Now this stanza of the poem reflects upon the patriot's death. It is full of philosophical and religious ideas. The line, "Thus I entered and thus I go," portrays, rather reflects upon the poet's entry and exit from life. People's mind in presence of so many other, it all sums up the life of the speaker very well. The speaker, that is the patriot, says that in his triumphs, people have dropped down dead. That is again a contrast. This suggests that he looks at his predicament as a triumph. He considers this is only his victory. He believes that he stood by the right things and thus considers himself victorious in defeat. Although people are blaming him, but still he does not regret. He says he has done the right things. He knows that, and therefore he considers himself to be victorious person. The final 3 lines of the stanza deal with the ideas of the speaker. Yet again we see Browning's stout religious belief. He believes that God might say, "Your sins were already washed away when you died." So it shows the positivity within the patriot. The people saw to it. They punished you. What now do you expect from me? You are now free of all corruption. Thus the patriot thinks that the punishment he got in the mortal world has purged him, and that he hopes to go to heaven instead of hell. Again, a positive attitude. He feels safer knowing that God knows he stood for what he thought was right, and thus he will be safe under him. Now, as a conclusive note, we must remember that it is not possible to establish the gullibility or innocence of the patriot in the poem. On one hand, we see the speaker himself admitting that he did some misdeeds, whilst on the other hand, we see him as a patriot who is mistaken. At least the title suggests that. It might be so that he is guilty of some things he did which he thought were right. It might even be so that he is truly innocent and is simply put to death because the people wish so. However, the poem ends on a note of optimism with Browning's own philosophy: God's in his heaven and all's right with the world. The patriot believes that it is God who will reward him according to his true merit. There is the second extract for you children, a small instruction for you in order to maintain your notebook. You will divide your treasure trove notebook into 2 parts. The first part, prose, and the second part, poetry. Please place a blue satin ribbon in the middle of your notebook. I hope you are clear with the understanding of the poem. Go through the poem and complete your question answers in the notebook. Thank you children. Have a wonderful day ahead.